And welcome back, everyone, to Weber State Esports, where we are back once again with our NECC games. Here we have Weber State Junior Varsity against Southwestern Oklahoma State University Blue.
And remember, this is a fearless draft series. So any champions that we see in this beginning game will not be played in the second game. And it is a best out of three. So we could see two total games, or if they take 1-1, then we'll go all the way to game three.
I'm trying to actually remember because this is our JV Violet team, and I believe that one out of our three JV teams actually doesn't do fearless games, so this might not be a fearless series.
Oh, yeah, it's a good call. We'll have to see how it shapes out in game two, because that's really where it will kick in. Either way, with these games, these aren't quite challenger level games. They're not the highest skill level, but it makes it for a really good time. We'll see a lot of picks where they are very player specific because largely the meta doesn't really matter. It just matters about champion mastery. So these games can be quite awesome for that. They may move around and try meta picks, but like we see a Mundo ban first. But then on the opposite side, we see a Briar ban. Mundo may be more of a meta pick, but Briar definitely not.
I mean, she did get buffed, so obviously there is some possibility that she could be making a comeback here in the jungle. Obviously, we'll wait for the professionals to decide if that's worth picking up or banning consistently in your games. But Caitlyn, she is a decent champion. She's never been like pick or ban, so it must be more of a fear. She got some of her items adjusted, so that's kind of why she's seen some creep in pick rate. But the Malzahar also obviously targeted, very strong when a player knows how to play them. Seraphine, that very much is a, hey, Weber State likes this. No, you don't get it.
Yeah, we have several Weber State teams that love a good Seraphine pick. And then Kaisa responded back by Weber State. Kaisa's just generally a strong champion. With the Caitlyn, I feel like Caitlyn's like, she's not in the top three of the strongest AD carries, but she definitely sits on the outside. So you don't see very many bans in like at least the professional scene. However, she can be a very solid pick. So I feel like in at least the professional scene, you see her picked more often because usually she's not worthy of a ban, but then she's strong enough to get picked very early.
I mean, speaking of a champion that's worth picking or banning, Yunara comes out. She is by far one of the top three ADCs that you will always see either picked or banned in a professional game. As we are back with Violet, so we will be getting our coveted Nunu jungler who likes to go the full AP biggest snowball ever. Oh my gosh, you're dead now build, and it's really fun. I was going to make one mention of Caitlyn is that usually in professional games you see her more in the third game once a lot of the ADC has been banned out and played out. You know, you're going to have a lot more bans, so that's kind of surprising. As Jinx going to get picked up as well. Jinx, again, one of those champions that kind of hovers a little bit towards the top, not the immediate must pick, but still very good if you know what you're going into. And I think that Jinx can do well into a Yunara. But the Jarvan pickup is scary as Jinx is very immobile. I wouldn't mind maybe seeing something like a Thresh or something very defensive to protect this Jinx. Maybe an Alistar.
Yeah, Alistar, Lulu, Nami, any of those enchanter supports as well. The Jinx, like you mentioned, her main detriment is that she is immobile. And so if this Oklahoma State team can be able to rally some picks that can dive the Jinx, then it will be very, very useful for them. And then Weber State will have to look for some great ways to peel. Braum, a good support in this bot lane. He does have some weaknesses, like he's maybe not the best into maybe some of these enchanter supports that we'd like to see. So it'll be interesting. Yep, a Nami picked up here. That'll be a great support for the Jinx. She can kind of peel for her. We'll have to see if there's a lot of dive from Oklahoma State. There are some things that I think a Nami can't overcome, but a great champion for helping Jinx to maintain some movement speed and some distance. As we see Weber State responding on the bans with a Kale ban.
Yeah, and I was going to mention that Braum actually is one of the most popular supports in professional play. He did get nerfed because Riot did simply say, hey, we realize Braum is just way too good. And that's also why we're seeing this Kale ban. Even though Kale got nerfed, just the top lane quest makes her so frustrating to deal with, especially if she goes like the new, you'll hear it once again, Dusk and Dawn build. Oh boy, we love this item.
Yeah, Dusk and Dawn very strong. I'm a big fan, honestly, of the item, but that might be because I'm a Diana player. But here we are, Dusk and Dawn. I think a great pick. Vigar coming back from Weber State. That probably is more of a targeted ban for a specific player on this Oklahoma team, and we'll have to see Oklahoma coming back with a Tom Kench. Now I'm assuming. I guess the Tom Kench top lane. I didn't know Tom Kench top lane was the meta this season.
So for those of you who remember that it's not so much that it's a meta, it's definitely a targeted ban against our Violet team here on the Taxman. He has shown that he loves his Tom Kench top, and Oklahoma simply doesn't want to deal with it. Oh, but we do get Zed. When we last highlighted our Violet team, Zed was the really a very good mid laner for Riot, not Riot, for Weber, as they were able to make a lot of plays and get a lot of good kills. And it's just really fun. I do think that the Vigar ban is also because, funny enough, with the changes that were made to Actualizer to make it a better item so that Rise wasn't the only one building it, it's now the third item must for Vigar.
Yeah, turns out that if you can make an ability that does 1,000 damage do 30% more, it's pretty strong. We can get a lot of Vigar nukes. Zahen picked up here as a last pick for Oklahoma, so it'll be a Zahen into the top lane. Weber State does get to counter pick, so we'll have to see what they're cooking up as a counter to the Zahen.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that it could be. I actually wouldn't mind the Shen we saw Taxman do last time.
Yeah, Shen, a very solid pick into the Zehen. It can dodge multiple of these Zehen abilities since they are triggered on auto attacks. Shen has been a very good pick. Some of the items have done very well for him this season, so we'll have to see if Taxman wants to take advantage of those items or what kind of build paths he wants to go. But a very good pick. Also, good to see lore-wise Zed and Shen back on the same team.
Very fun, very indeed. I will say the one thing I do worry about is Weber's lack of magic damage. I know that Nunu is going biggest snowball Nunu ever, so that's a lot of AP damage there. But after that, you just kind of have Nami and a little bit of damage from Shen, but he's more mixed. Yes, his Q does percentage HP magic damage, but at the end of the day, are you really relying on that? And this Zed's going to have to play so careful into the pain that this Ziggs is going to be throwing out at him, as it's just such long range. But if Ziggs ever missteps, that death mark will find its way onto the Yordle in the mid.
I think we'll have to see if Taxman has been an ex-Petu enjoyer. Maybe he'll do a Dusk and Dawn blade build here, or there's maybe a few options. I know Protoplasm Harness has been something that I've seen recently. So there's a couple options for Shen, but definitely losing out on some magic damage here for the Weber State team. I think this team, though, is really built to kind of go for a early to mid-game snowball. We'll have to see. The Jinx build has been, at least in the LCK, has been very mid-game oriented, where they go Kraken Slayer first into a Phantom Dancer second, and it's really great for those like third dragon fights in those types of areas. And she pops off basically one item sooner than her third item pop off. Admittedly, at a little bit less damage, but oftentimes teams need that to happen.
Well, I mean, she can get away with it this game because of the fact that you do have Nunu. Nunu is that early game jungle that wants to put that pressure down. So if Nunu's there coming into the gank, making it really hard for the bot lane to survive, it's going to be really good at getting her in. As it does look like we should be loading onto the Rift here shortly. You could see some visual interesting things happen as we are working to see if our overlay is working or not. And as you can see right now, it's not. So we are going to take a quick peek away while we fix some things and then bring you right back ASAP.
ASAP, indeed. Oklahoma State, reminder, is on the blue side. Weber State will be here on this red side. We'll have just a little bit of a delay before we jump back in.
Yeah. we gotta love how things are, as we should be getting back here onto the Rift, and things looking pretty good. It is our stereotypical layout that you're used to. We might not have our dragon timers as we weren't expecting things, so we're gonna have to kind of just be looking. You can see the weird little thing in the above the mini map that usually we don't have there, which we can look at and give tips to. We will have it fixed by next game.
Pretty stereotypical start here. We see both junglers kind of leaning towards this top side. There is a 3-man team here ready to catch out any members of Weber State, as it does appear that GamerHaze is going to have to use his flash. He might have already skilled the ability, so he doesn't have that W available to escape. First Blood going over to Oklahoma, having that 3-man setup. Zehen, though, is giving away some advantage here in this top lane. He will not have the lane in a favorable position, but Nunu also losing out on a Raptor camp because of that pressure.
I think Monkey will be okay with this. He does clear really well. Jarvan gonna do everything he can. You do see Ziggs coming in, trying to do everything he can to be as annoying as possible, get GamerHaze pushed in as much as possible. We saw this last time we highlighted it, that GamerHaze could struggle a little bit early, but he does do really well later as he can get some minions and items. As we have I'm Bored and Watch Out here in the bot lane, doing the best they can to be as annoying as possible. They do have the push. Again, it's just that simple 2 ranged versus 1 melee.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to get a push here. Yunara not the strongest character in the early game, especially not into a Nami. We see Taxman here trading with the Zehen pretty evenly. It looks like Taxman going for the grasp versus Zehen having Conquer. So as long as he doesn't let the Zehen get stacked up, then he should be able to have a pretty easy fight here for these early trades.
Yeah, and you can see with our gold graph that actually Taxman here having to dash out as he is getting caught with the W, looks like from Zahem to pull him into a unfavorable trade. Will be just farming here under tower, chugging his potions, letting his Doran shield do what it's meant to, as he will just try to survive and out-sustain Zahen's mana pool.
Yeah, Shen does have that advantage with that resource bars. We see a Nami bubble, fantastic onto the Yunara. The Braum actually steps forward into it as well, and that is a easy double kill here for this Jinx. Fantastic bubble play there, and it looks like they should be able to crack a plate and take a pretty good gold advantage early. As we see the Zed roaming up here for the top lane, however, Shen is not able to play as the minions are pushed into his tower, and there is a convenient ward, so Zehen should be pretty safe there.
Yeah, Zahen sniffing it out, saying, I'm going to place a ward here. We saw as the Fey Lights came down and revealed GamerHaze. But he's not losing a lot, as he actually, now that I mention it, is kind of losing a lot more, as he's sticking around to actually take this top Scuttle Crab. Remember, even though Jungle Zed did get nerfed, he still does a annoying amount of damage to jungle monsters. And he's not really losing too much here in the mid lane as it walks him back down. He's going to go ahead and get back here. We'll understand that there is a ward on him now, as going to actually get a lot of damage down onto Ziggs James.
As we see a Nunu snowball rolling in for the Ziggs. Ziggs carefully skirting around it, though, with his fancy feet. Maybe watching enough LeBron James to know how to dodge a ball. But the Zed, I did like that timer roaming up to the top lane. The Ziggs chose not to push into the tower, so he's able to get the Scuttle Crab, come back to lane, catch a bunch of minions and XP, and really just stay equal, which is what a Zed wants to do here in this early game. If he gets poked out too much and fall behind, then it can be a little bit difficult, but staying even is exactly where he wants to be. He should be able to pick up some great kills in this early game.
Yeah, in fact, now he's actually going to go ahead, GamerHaze is going to go ahead and start roaming bot side, as it may not be the best timing as the wave is actually pushing into Oklahoma, but Watch Out has a really good advantage in items and gold here, halfway towards that Kraken Slay you can see with that Hearthbound Axe, I believe is what it's called.
Yeah, he is opting for the Kraken Slayer build. I do like this build quite a bit, as it neutralizes a lot of Jinx's weaknesses. We do see Zehen using the Flasher to avoid this Nunu. Nunu just dumping a ton of damage on him. Now, Weber State not necessarily afraid of these dives. However, I don't know if they know the Jarvan is there, and it looks like the Shen backing up will be the correct call for them, so that they don't just end up getting double killed under the tower. We see The Nami again going for a cheeky bubble out of the bush, but Yunara is able to sidestep it here. Trying to maintain and not lose too much gold here on this bottom side. This Jinx can be a very favorable win con for Weaver State, so it's imperative that they don't just let her take advantage of that.
Yeah, I'm bored. Does miss that bubble, but it was just one of those simple things you kind of expect the Yunara to walk back after taking that minion. Just doesn't quite, as level 6s are here ready for the top lane, as Taxman gonna hit the taunt, and now he can do a lot of damage as Zahin forced to ult out because of the ignite and just barely a tick away. But at the end of the day, Taxman is so happy with that. Yes, he gives up his ignite, and Mr. Dot will have to go ahead and TP back. But Monkey here saying, well, you know, there's no teleport threat from Zahin. Let's take a dragon. My bot lane's winning. I'm Nunu. Try to outsmite me.
Yeah, and exactly. With the Shen ultimate available, this is a very safe dragon take for them. Unfortunately, the Shen on that fight, he didn't take the step back in order to get the empowered Q, so he was not able to kill that Zahen. It would have been the difference maker. The Shen E is down as he did jump in on the Zahen earlier, so he doesn't have any escape, unfortunately. The Jarvan gank, well-timed, able to take advantage of a kill, get a little bit of cross-map gold back in exchange for that Cloud Drake.
Yeah, unfortunately, but Taxman understands that, hey, no matter what happens, I'm probably dead here. Gamer Haze doing a little bit of a cheeky shadow forward. Not going to quite get anything, as Jarvan will look to collect these Krugs and try to put Nunu back as far as possible, but you can't really stop a Nunu once he gets going. It's very frustrating to try to deal with. Gamer Haze gonna maybe look for something, but with this Scuttle Crab vision decides I can't do anything. Taxman does have his Tiamat, so he will be able to start fighting in this wave, maintaining things. And at the end of the day, a Shen that goes even is a Shen that is happy.
Yeah, and a Shen going even is fantastic. His crowd control and like his ability to help his team survive with his W, those don't require stats. Like you can just throw those down and they still apply. The shield is really the same, like unless you're going an AP Shen. It doesn't really scale up a whole ton. So Shen just going to be useful as we see Gamer Haze going in on the Ziggs. However, landing a little bit into tower range as the Ziggs backstepped just perfectly. Opting did not go for the kill, the correct call there in this mid lane.
I think that death mark was more, I'm going to threaten you, I'm going to push this wave in so I can back and buy my items safely and get a good timer. Yes, Ziggs clears the wave and it's going to reset, but it should give Gamer Haze enough time to run back to lane with the empowered home guards that you get.
Yeah, the Zed ulti cooldown, even at level 1, not incredibly long. As you can see, it's already a third back, so it should be back here for some of these fights. I don't know if it'll be back for this if they start the Void Grubs here immediately, which it does look like the Jarvan's looking for it. The Nunu throwing a snowball, however, Jarvan able to flag and drag away. Nunu opting to flash from the Ziggs Q. He's still standing here for some pressure as Gamer Haze does return. Now Gamer Haze without an ultimate. However, the Ziggs does have an ultimate as the Zed does teleport in. He is not able to taunt the Jarvan. However, Gamer Haze is on the chase. The Zen here now trying to take out Mr. Taxman as he does get the Wi-Fi extended range knock-up on him, securing that kill. However, in the background, Nunu has been taking these grubs. Now Nunu does have the Eat available, I believe, and the Jarvan is here, but no, he's just going to secure it. So despite having members of Oklahoma around, Weaver State still secures all 3 grubs at the trade of his Shen's life.
Yeah, it is just unfortunate that Taxman got Wi-Fi'd. The flash was good, but the auto was already going off. In the bot lane, though, watch out, and I'm bored doing really well to try and get this Jinx ahead. Really just playing it safe and steady. Now that she has these kills ahead, they can be so dissuasive, so annoying to deal with, as that's an interesting little chomp placement as wrecked. Actually gonna get wrecked by Gamer Haze with the death mark going on, as he was not able to heal up enough from his jungle to survive the damage coming in from Gamer Haze.
Yeah, good play from Gamer Haze there. This Jarvan is now going to be a little bit far behind despite having an early advantage in taking those chickens. As you see, the Nunu is probably 4 or 5 camps up on the Jarvan exactly now and still has his bot side to clear. Now, Jarvan does have a full map available, but this should mean that Nunu should have some tempo to be able to impact some of these lanes. So we'll have to see what he decides to do here. And now the Jarvan can forego camps to see if he can gank Jarvan maybe not one of those carry champions unless he gets super far ahead, so it's not crucial that he gets items, but maybe more so that he can get his team ahead.
Yeah. Gamer Hayes playing an interesting game here where he will bait out the ultimate from Ziggs. I believe that's exactly what he wanted, just simply saying, okay, I'm going to back in your face, go ahead and ult me, I'm going to get back, get away. And you actually do see now here as Monkey going to go ahead and see that there is a ward here. We'll clear it with the help of I'm Bored, and then going to kind of go back to farming up what he can. Maybe actually going to look for a gank. Yeah, you see the pings coming in. Ziggs could be in a lot of trouble. Going to go ahead and use the satchel charge to try to get away, but no satchel means no way to stop the snowball. Luckily for him, he left at the correct time to avoid the monkey.
Yeah, Ziggs with no flash or satchel, it could have been very detrimental there. However, his minion wave is very well timed, so he's able to escape. And that's kind of that new tempo we were talking about earlier, where he cleared his camps and he saw an option there in the mid. However, it just doesn't work out for him. But now we see this bot lane. We have a Zed roaming down. I'm not sure if that ward in the Dragon Pit spotted the Zed. It might have. It looks like Yunar is just running straight into him. This is a great option for the Zed ulti. However, a Jarvan and a Braum there are there to support, but the Nunu is as well, and Jinx is now excited. She is opting to chase. However, there is a Ziggs walking around the corner. Looks like Watch Out is just not afraid at all, and the Ziggs was a little terrified as he opts to turn around and walk away. This will be a dragon for Weber State.
Yeah, just unfortunate for Jarvan. He misses the flag and drag there and then is in too deep to really be able to do anything to get out. Gets hit with the death mark, the traps, the bubble, just kind of really everything. And that's good night, Jarvan the 4th. We're on to Jarvan the 5th.
That would be a pretty funny Easter egg if Jarvan's name just slowly ticked up for every death that he had during the game. However, unfortunately, that's not a feature yet in League of Legends. Maybe coming soon with the lore changes. I don't know if they will quite do that, as we are still able to play Xin Zhao. We see a Jarvan ulti here on the Nami in the bot lane. The Nami opting just to use the flash and the heal and escape. So we have some summoners down for Weber State. We'll have to see if Oklahoma wants to capitalize on that. It does look like, though, the Yunara has her summoners down and the Jinx still has all of hers. So, and kind of at the end of the day, if you take down a Nami, if the Jinx can get excited, it doesn't really matter, because that means that she's doing exactly what she needs to.
Yeah. Items so far pretty even for the bot laners. The biggest difference is that Jinx, Watch Out, has gone ahead and finished their lane quest, so they are getting the increased gold quicker, and you don't think it matters that much, but when you're getting, say, an extra 10 minions quicker of gold than your opponent, it can mean a lot pretty quick.
Yeah, the bot lane gold, very good for accelerating these, especially these hyper carries into kind of this mid game. You see that the Jinx is up almost 2,000 gold over this Yunara, so that's a fantastic gold lead that they've built up. Now we just need to see if it can transition into some fights. We do see, like, in the mid lane, Zed is down 1,000 gold on the Ziggs. In the top lane, the Zehen is actually almost up 2,000 gold over this Shen. So there is quite... And overall, the teams are even in gold, but we do see advantages, I think, where each team wants them. If the Zehen gets ahead, it can be very scary and very hard for Weber State to play. However, if Jinx is very capable to be that hyper carry for Weber State. They just need to be able to play around her and properly peel for her against this Oklahoma team.
Yeah, and Gamer Hayes is actually looking to possibly get something onto Zehen here, but he's not playing with any fear. The ward actually goes down before the Nunu shows up. So really well played by Weber here. A flash to try and get out, but that is just another flash to follow, as Monkey will go ahead and get the shutdown. And now turret plates can go ahead and get pressed in, as Ziggs going to try and do what he can to possibly break this first turret. But he has to be so careful, because Zed and Nunu are so fast and so deadly, as here comes that big snowball, like I said before.
Yeah, Ziggs just not able to push fast enough and really get any of these plates off. He is so close to being able to satchel this mid lane turret. We do see, though, Jarvan is here. The Weber State bot lane has been kind of baited into a fight, and the Jarvan ult is available. It doesn't look like the Jinx will have enough damage with that Braum stun to be able to finish off anybody. Taxman did try and ult to protect her. However, it's just not enough to be able to save the play. A good chance for the Jarvan to be able to see and recognize Nunu's on the top lane. The bottom lane is pushed in. Let's see if we can get a gank, and it worked out for them.
Yeah, I'm a little questioning that a little bit. They saw Jarvan on the map and were like, okay, we can still kind of go in here. We're fine. I question it. You know, they were hoping for more shielding from the Shen, I'm sure. But maybe they can rethink some things and go back, as that was a decent shutdown that went over to the side of Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think unfortunately just the Nami and the Jinx, their health bars just aren't tanky enough to be able to survive against a Jarvan and a Braum. The Braum does a very good job while his shield is up of just counteracting a lot of the damage that can come through from Weber State. And then, of course, the stuns and everything doing their job, making sure that they can be locked down. We see the Ziggs opting for armor boots this game. As we mentioned in the draft, Weber State is largely AD. They don't have a lot of magic damage available. So a good pick from the Ziggs, especially to try and dissuade that Zed from annihilating him. However, I don't know if it's going to do that much against maybe the Jinx. If the Jinx is getting to the Ziggs, I think she's already excited, and I think it's just over.
I think that also just one thing of armor boots isn't going to stop Jinx from just annihilating a Ziggs. Ziggs has to try to pop her first, as first items are coming through for pretty much the entire team. As Monkey going to go ahead and simply say, you know what, I'm summoning this, I'm going to crash it into tower, going to try to break this before Ziggs can break ours and do as much damage as physically possible. Actually Mr. Dot gonna go ahead and get the dive down onto Taxman, and it's really good for them. Luckily for Gamer Haze, Ziggs did use the ult to dissuade the tower dive, so he will not have that to finish off Gamer Haze.
Yeah, no Ziggs ult available. He did a good job of holding that tower from the two-man push. As we see, the flag and drag does hit the Jinx. The Jinx also in the Cataclysm, a lot of damage going down on her. And now Weber State doesn't really have any staying power for this fight, as Oklahoma just has significantly more damage, and they do secure a double kill here. The Jinx just staying a little bit too far forward, right inside of the Jarvan range, and Oklahoma just pulling the trigger and making sure that they can secure this dragon by annihilating that bot lane.
Yeah, and it will definitely be very useful for Oklahoma here. This first dragon gonna mean a lot. The Chemtech Soul, nothing to be understated. It can mean so much, as Taxman really just been kind of left out to dry here by Weber. It's really hard to get in and stop this Zahen once he gets going. Taxman really understanding he just simply has to try to sit under tower and farm. But he did get dove last time. Granted, I think it's because he took a really bad fight earlier in lane, as Gamer Haze is going to try to take this tower and do as much damage as possible. But unfortunately, with just an Eclipse, does not really do a lot of damage yet.
As we see, a Zahen is now flanking the Zed. Zed no longer has a turret to play under, and he did just use his W. Maybe he'll swap back and ult onto the Ziggs. Potentially, no, he opts to ult onto the Zahen. However, the Ziggs has enough crowd control provided by his teammate to be able to land a critical ultimate there. So the Zed going down here in the middle lane. Weber had a pretty solid early game, but it looks like they're just losing a little bit on on all these plays. And now Oklahoma has built a almost 6,000 gold lead here. Quite a good advantage for them. We'll have to see what they can do to take advantage of this and where they can push. Weber State, though, does need to find opportunities to earn this money back. They need to figure out how they can push some towers, maybe provide some support to their team so that they don't just continue to fall behind. We see the Nunu running it down this mid lane, though, as he does land the snowball onto the Ziggs. Ziggs using his barrier, the Nunu ult coming through, knocking down half of Yunara's health bar. However, he doesn't have any follow-up damage or follow-up team members here. Gamer Haze is here, but he is a little late. He doesn't have his ulti, so he's not able to jump onto the Yunara. The Jarvan hitting a empowered blast cone, able to jump in and just help secure that kill. However, in the bot lane, the Jinx was able to chase down a Braum here, securing another kill and gaining a little bit more gold back.
It really does seem like this game is determined by, does Watch Out survive? If yes, Weber can win these fights. Just a little bit of some questionable gameplay from Monkey and Gamer Haze there. They're really just over-greeding for some of these kills where they need to think a little bit slower, be a little bit more patient. It's one of these things that we do love about all of our JV teams, is the wide range of skill levels that we see. Some of these plays just seem like, what's going on? But it's fun. We like it. It means there's a lot more action to talk about.
Action indeed. They do have a very unique play style. We love to see what they can pull out, and it is quite fun. I think the Weber State team's not afraid to be creative overall. We just saw a gold graph flashed up there a minute ago, and you'll notice that every lane is now behind from the Weber State side, except for in the support category. Maybe not the most important, and it's only 600 gold ahead. But importantly, that Yunara is now even with the Jinx, if not slightly ahead. So now both teams have a very possible hyper carry from their bot lane. The Yunara can be very strong, especially she does have her Fiend Hunter bolts available, so she can ult and pop onto almost anyone. Even if the Jinx is caught alone in a lane, the Yunara runs in and ults, she will be dead.
Taxman doing everything he can to be in a side lane and trying to get some of this farm back as they put Gamer Haze into the Zahen, but he's really struggling himself to deal with this Zahen as he has 2 items, very strong, very powerful, very threatening.
Yeah, the Zed can try and poke out the Zahen. However, Zahen just has enough sustain that, like, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But we do see a Nunu coming in at Mach 3, trying to land a snowball on the Zahen, which he successfully does. Gamer Haze does drop the ult, but the Nunu does as well. The Zahen ulting during the Nunu ult to be able to get the damage reduction that he needs to survive, and does kill the Zed. Now, the Nami does go down here in the middle lane. Yunara was low, however, Jinx was not able to secure the kill. Zed is also duking it out here with the Ziggs. I think they coordinate so that every lane can fight at the exact same time here. But unfortunate, the Zahen might just be a little bit too out of control here for this Weber State team.
It really comes down to, you have to CC him long enough that you can kill him quick enough, and Weber just does not have the damage. Zed doesn't have 2 items. You really need Zed on 2 or 3 items to burst Zahem before he can get that passive up. Luckily, though, Weber does catch Jarvan here in the river going for a Scuttle Crab, and that is a shutdown to watch out, which could be pretty big. But now, watch out, getting a little overconfident, we've mentioned it here, will go down as it's very close. But now, Yunara in trouble, does not have the dash, and a fadeaway snowball from Monkey will take him down as Weber getting some gold back here. They do like that. They are happy with it. Monkey gonna try to take this dragon as Zig's gonna be annoying, gonna scout it out, though there is no Jarvan to take it away. But in the top lane, we have Zahen split pushing like a menace.
Yeah, the Zahen taking advantage of not having anybody on the opposite side of the map. And that was a huge shutdown to go to the Nunu. That was 1,000 gold from the Yunara, which, ooh, and the Ziggs able to steal the dragon over a Nunu eat, and the smite was just on cooldown. It was about 2 seconds off. That is really unfortunate for Weber State. Being on that soul point could have been game breaking for them, honestly, to be able to have that threat, and especially if they did secure the soul. Very unfortunate for them. Indeed, we did see how we talked about the Yunara with the Fiend Hunter bolts when she fought the Jinx. The Jinx was excited and ran in with full attack speed, but Yunara was able to pop that ulti and just out DPS her for that fight. It was really close though, so both hyper carries not that far off from each other. It just requires that Yunara presses R and has a ton of burst. But if Jinx can get excited, I think she'll do more damage in the team fight overall. We do see that the Yunara has finished 3 full items. She does have her Infinity Edge. The Jinx is just off of hers, though. So I'd want to see Weber State coordinating around. It looks like she's about 200 gold off, so she needs about 1 or 2 more waves. Now, there are no more objectives really to fight on the map, but I'd hope that in the next fight that Jinx is in, that the Weber State would have allowed for her to go back for it. We see a re-attempt on this fight, but instead of a Zed, it is a Shen tag teaming in. The Jinx Rocket just goes wide. However, the Zahen does have his passive here, so the Weber State team opting to step back and to let it degrade back down. We do see the Nunu coming in though at Mach 3, trying to hit onto Mr. Twister. It does hit, but the Zahen has a ton of damage. Jinx does step into melee range, which might be a mistake. However, Mr. Twister is going low, and the Jinx is able to follow up and secure that kill. You can see the burst damage from the Zahen as he turned around on the Nunu, and the Triforce and the Sundered Sky just absolutely blowing him up.
Yeah, Zig's going to run here to the top lane now. He's probably just going to lob an ult to clear the wave so that Weaver can't do much more. In fact, Weaver, kind of understanding that, will go ahead and decide to back out and not push anymore, as a Scuttle Crab going to go down, and it could lead to a first Baron take for Oklahoma. They do now clear out that vision that Weaver has, and that's all the vision Weaver has.
Yeah, taking these Scuttle Crabs around these objectives is very crucial, and it just kind of puts this pressure on Weaver State that they need to be aware of the potential and the possibility of the take. They do see plenty of the members around the map. I guess they only see the Ziggs, but I think it's just enough to know that they're not taking the objective. We have the blue trinket as well going down in the Baron pit to be able to spot it out for Weaver State. So they're confident, they see it, they know that it's not being started. It would have been a little bit of a rough spot, I think, for Oklahoma's. Weaver State has a very good ability to regroup. Now, they do have to worry about the Zed pushing in the bot lane. Neither mid laner this game from Oklahoma or Weaver State has teleport. So I'd like to see someone from Weaver State or from either team from their top lanes playing on the bottom lane so that the Baron could be threatened. But either team just not really opting for it. So not really choosing to play around it unless it's going to be a 4v4.
I think, though, Oklahoma is okay with sending Ziggs bot lane, because all he has to do is run up to red buff, and he can lob an ult at Baron.
Yeah, very true. He can have a presence there. I think if they're going to set up for it, ideally the Ziggs... Oh, as we see Gamer Haze around a Yunara, opting not to ult, though, because of the Braum there. He does go back on the Shadow W due to the pressure from Oklahoma. It could have potentially been a pick, but the Braum is so hard to navigate around his Zed just because his shield will eat all of the Qs, and he really needs the Qs to be alive or to make contact on the Yunara in order to kill her. So very difficult for the Zed to be able to navigate this game because of that Braum. And if the Braum really sticks next to her, it's going to be a rough go about. So we'll have to see how the Zed plays some of these fights. As Weaver State, seeing two members of Oklahoma on the bottom side, opts to start this Baron. They do have pretty good Baron damage with this Jinx here. As you can see, it's already at half HP, and the Jarvan is only at mid lane so far. Zehen looking to go in to try and stall a little bit. He can get on top of this Jinx, and he's stalling the fight. Weaver State does secure the Baron. However, the Jinx and the Nunu do go down. Now it's just up to the rest of the members to be able to get out with this buff. However, it's not looking great. The Zed also did go down. I'm bored is caught a little bit here. The Shen is the only member of the team to be able to survive with a Baron buff.
Yeah, overall, Weaver, yes, they do collect the Baron, but that is definitely much better for the side of Oklahoma. They are very happy. That is a 4 for none. Zahen just really starting to run away with things. As you mentioned that Weaver has decent damage, but because they're all dead now, this is a third Chemtech Dragon for the side of Oklahoma. They are really stacking this out, and that's a lot of, I believe, damage reduction and healing as they get lower.
Yeah, the Chemtech Soul trading buffs, depending on if you're above or below 50% HP. And the third dragon now is that soul point for them, just showing how important that Ziggs ultimate steal was earlier in the game. Able to swing that for them. Weaver State scrambling a little bit. I think they need to be able to get some gold back in this game. They're 7,000 or 8,000 gold behind here, and they're down on objectives. So they need to find some ways to be able to scramble back in. They need to fight, and they need to be able to play around this Jinx. It's going to be a tough game because the Zehen with the Death Dance is a very solid front line that they have to worry about. The Braum can also provide a lot of screening if he does decide to go in with the Zehen. The Jarvan as well, going for that tanky kind of bruiser-ish build. We do see a Yunara here is caught out, and the Nunu damage blows her up. We see definitely the potential there. If Weaver State can get some of these picks, between the Nunu and the Zed, they have a lot of options here. The Shen also able to play off of some of these positions if they need to. So we'll have to see if they can continue to pull things off like this. Unfortunately, not able to get a lot done here as the Zehen can just hold this turret, and actually hold the minions in front of the turret so they don't even crash into it.
I will say one thing I've noticed is that Oklahoma has decided to make it so Yunara isn't going as much damage. She went for Immortal Reminder to deal with the Nunu healing, Jinx, on the other hand, watch out, is saying, no, I need the Lord Dominic's regard. At the end of the day, that means no one's applying anti-heal to Zahin. They are simply relying on the fact that they have 2 ignites to do a heal cut.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm a huge fan of that. There's the Zehen, obviously, that we need to worry about. Even the J4 with the Sundered Sky and the Death, or I guess the Death Stance doesn't heal. I always think that it heals. It used to. It doesn't heal anymore, but the Sundered Sky healing heals a little bit. Is quite a bit. So I would love, like you said, I think anti-heal is definitely something that needs to be picked up. Even on a Nami, if she waves, usually that's good enough to hit as a hen, or if she throws her E onto the Jinx, then that'll apply whoever the Jinx is attacking. So I do think you're right. We need to see some anti-heal from Weber State.
I'm trying to remember something on Death Stance, because I know that when you get a takedown, it cleanses the debuff, but and it heals you, but I'm not sure if it also cleanses something, say, an Ignite. As I'm bored, going to get caught out here, the Cataclysm comes down, the Tidal Wave going to be used, but it's just too little too late. Standing in a position that they really couldn't be, and it's going to cost Weber pretty significantly here, as they are now down a member and a lot of their engage and disengage.
However, the Nunu deciding to roll in, the Braum Shield does block it. Yunara does run forward. Yunara's ult has been popped, so there's a pretty big resource that's down here for the side of Oklahoma. Now, the Nami being down, pretty unfortunate, at least for a gold advantage, but not really a lot of objectives to take here. Weber State is able to defend these objectives. They have the wave clear with the Jinx. She can hold unless the Ziggs does land a lot of poke on her, but it doesn't look like Oklahoma is really opting for that. Our next objectives are actually on an identical timer. Baron and Dragon will spawn in 1 minute and 30 seconds. I'm thinking that both teams will try and contest this Dragon, as getting the soul point is a huge buff here for this Oklahoma team, especially in making sure that Zehen can survive in these fights. The Zehen goes forward here, dodging the Nami bubble with his own ulti. The Bramble in response, and the Nami wave, they're looking to go in. The Yunara does get blown up from this Nunu though, so that is a lot of the burst down from Oklahoma State, as the Zehen and Braum are now too far forward. Jarvan and Ziggs just have to retreat. A good scattered fight from Weber State. They were able to protect their team and pull back. I think the only unfortunate part is that they lost a lot of summoner spells, and importantly, the flash on the Jinx is no longer available.
Yeah, and actually now it looks like it's going to possibly be get used up, but will do very well. Watch out, though, has to be careful, as in range for a Mega Infernal Bomb to possibly get her killed, but that will not happen, as Weber really playing with fire here, as staying on the Rift with some low HP bars, but Jinx healing up with their red buff and a lot of other passive, probably healing in the runes.
Yeah, lots of healing available there. Now, we have these timers coming up here in 16 seconds. We've got the Dragon and the Baron pulling up. Now, the Gamer Haze caught out here a little bit. He does have his flash, so he's able to get out of that Cataclysm. However, the Ziggs bomb was very well placed and just able to catch him on the crit spot. So now Weber State's down for a 4v5 here if they want to be able to contest this Dragon. It looks like they're kind of grouping up for it. The Shen is teleporting in. However, they don't have any vision here, so they're not quite sure how low it's going, and it looks like the Dragon will be secured. So now Weber State needs to run away with their tail between their legs. They do not want to get caught in a fight here. I do think it would be pretty devastating for them. Now, the Baron is up, so we'll have to see. It looks like Oklahoma is running directly for the Baron. The Zed is up in 18 seconds, but he does not have a teleport. Remember, he has the Ignite spell instead. They are starting this Baron, so we'll have to see how Weber State contests this.
They have to really play it very well like they did last time, this split fight, but they understand they need to get this Baron. Paxman in the top side looking for some vision, but unfortunately just no vision means Weber can't really do anything. Nami bubble used, the biggest snowball ever used, and they just get to walk away like nothing happened.
Yeah, I think Weber State just not able to get enough information and really time their spells right. You can tell that the Nunu wanted to go in. However, he was like 4 or 5 seconds too late. on that play. Now it looks like Watch Out might be caught out here just a little bit. He will be able to escape with his team there. The Jarvan opting to not go in. I feel like the Jarvan could have gone in there with the Yunara to be able to just take more of an advantage, as Weber State was overstepping by quite a bit, I believe. We do see some of these gold graphs here. Now Jinx is 2,000 gold ahead of the Yunara, so that's almost a full item, so that if we can catch a fight from Weber State where the Jinx has that full item advantage, it could be pretty detrimental. The Ziggs, importantly though, also 4,000 gold above the Zed. Same with Zehen at 4,000 gold above Shen. So those are some pretty big gold advantages on these carries. Ziggs able to throw out a lot of damage in the fight, and we've seen the Zehen and his tankiness. Also with the new item, I'm forgetting what it's called, the Endless Hunger. Zehen going for Endless Hunger, so he's going to have absolutely insane ability haste here. He's just going to be casting his spells non-stop, which means that he'll be stacking his passive even faster.
Yeah, stacking his passive even faster, which gives him even more ability haste because he gets more and more damage, as a big snowball actually going to do a lot to Yunara. Unfortunately, the Nami wave will miss. Monkey going to do what he can to try to get some damage down, but not going to do much. Luckily, he flashes right as Jarvan Cataclysm, so there's no one caught in that Cataclysm.
Yeah, it was a good flash from him. Unfortunately, no summoner spells needed to be used from the Oklahoma State side. It would have been great if they could have seen the Yunara flash used or barrier or something like that, just to make her a little bit more vulnerable for the next fight. But I do like the try, and that Weber State is looking for these picks, because that's what they need to do. They need to get a pick on a Yunara or a Ziggs when ideally there isn't a Zehen around.
It's just hard because Zahen's at the point, he's level 20. He doesn't need really gold or items. He now is really unkillable, but 4 men, 5 men from Weber might be enough to do it. As can he do the snowball? Yes, but the ultimate will come out. Now he will dash away, but the slow is going to be enough. Unfortunately, the zap not going to be enough to get the kill. Will be able to get him down before his passive is able to come up, but the Infernal Bomb will go ahead and take down the Zed, as Jarvan actually not going to be able to get the flag interact because of the little snowball, but Weber really on the tail end of this has to run and run. Monkey now gonna go down. Taxman gonna be left out to dry. Yes, a Nami wave is coming in, but it just does not mean enough at all.
Yeah, a good rally and regroup here from Oklahoma. I think trading the Zed's life for the Zehen is pretty good. However, it's just Oklahoma has enough chase to be able to catch back up to Weber State and to be able to get that damage down. And now it is a 2v4 here in this top lane, is the Weber State bottom lane versus these 4 members. Now Yunara is pretty low, however the Jinx does get caught out by just enough crowd control and damage that she's not able to get that kill and not able to get excited. This could be almost a game-ending play here from Oklahoma. I don't know if, because of the Yunara's low, I don't believe that they can stay around here for it. Gamer Haze though is willing to kind of look here a little bit if he could get on the Yunara. Just opting to clear waves instead, though.
Yeah, but then you have Zahen, who went ahead and used his teleport top bot lane to continue this push. Yes, his team is backing out, but he wants to get as much pressure as he can. I'm bored. We'll go ahead and be here to stop anything more from happening, as Weber really just struggling to find a way to deal with this. We've just seen that really this Chemtech Soul has meant so much, as the increased damage reduction and increased damage means so much depending on what health state Oklahoma is in.
Yeah, and some of these characters, like, I mean, we keep talking about the Zehen, but I think he likes being in either health state. It's just pretty awesome for him. Now, if we look at our timers here, we do have 45 seconds here for an Elder Drake. If there's a chance for Weber State to get back in this game, it's that they need to take that Elder Drake. And if there's a way for Oklahoma to end this game really quickly, it's to take the Elder Drake as well. So we'll have to see what the teams decide to do to group on it. We see that Oklahoma is here earlier, though. This is about the time that you want to be able to set up proper vision around an objective. So they've got plenty of time to get wards where they need to be, and to be able to make sure that Weber State is just lacking that vision. So this could go the same way that the Baron fight did, where Weber State just doesn't know the health bars. They don't know exactly what is going on or who is where, and they have to try and push into this.
Yeah, and you can already see Watch Out and Monkey really struggling with this as they are trying so much. Unfortunately, Watch Out is going to go ahead and get jumped on, and you cannot Watch Out in enough time. Will go down. Yunara goes down, but she has enough gold to purchase a Guardian Angel, and it completely negates all the damage that Weaver's going to be able to do as it just takes so long to get back up. I'm always one that votes for Weber State, but unfortunately, I just don't see how they manage this with Taxman and Watch Out gone. Elder Dragon is going to go down here. Monkey needs a Miracle Steal, but he is completely blind and will be too late to get around and in, and will just simply have to try to dash out, but gonna get pulled in. Gonna use a cheeky little Zanya's just to delay his death a little bit more. And unfortunately for Gamer Hayes, he is next, as Wrecked is going to go here, be annoying as possible, does not have the Cataclysm to jump in onto him, but what more can a simple fish and the Master of Shadows do?
Yeah, this is kind of a classic unfortunate play here from Weber State where the Jinx walks just too far forward. The Jarvan has a lot of range to be able to get on top of her, and when she's in that Cataclysm, it is just so easy for Ziggs to, or Yunara to be able to land damage down onto her. She unfortunately is opting to go for the G8 one item later than the Yunara did, so she did not have it for that fight. It may also, though, be kind of fortunate that she doesn't have it going on to cooldown, though, as it looks like Oklahoma State not opting to end the game yet. Maybe the Jinx can still farm up enough gold to be able to have it for the next fight.
The Super Mega Death Rocket used to try to scout the Baron. We'll see that they're not on it yet, but now they are going to go ahead on it, and they have more than enough damage here with Jarvan and Zahem tanking while Yunara just rains down damage. And this is the second Baron for Oklahoma, and I personally believe that's all she wrote. Oklahoma going to back. Yunara now has all 6 items ready and going. You usually don't see a champion get to this point in games. It usually ends. This is a 41 and going on minute banger of a game. Holy moly.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I think if the Jinx can get her last item, there might be a chance. However, the Jarvan in the mid lane just showing that they can be able to blow up the Nami. So it looks like this will be a 4v5 here as Oklahoma does look to end this game. Now, I believe that the Elder Dragon is about to expire, so Weber State really wants to stall this last fight for that opportunity. However, Oklahoma really trying to do everything to make sure that that can't happen as the Ziggs bomb just absolutely annihilates the Jinx. The Zed jumps in. However, he's not able to do enough damage. Shen also going down here. A very healthy Oklahoma team running into these last towers as it will be all she wrote. Nunu jumps in, attempts the ulti and the snowball. However, the Nexus will go down here. This is a game 1 here for Oklahoma. We'll have to see you guys here in game 2 of this series.
And welcome back, everyone, to Weber State Esports, where we have our junior varsity Violet team here up against the Universe. So I need to remember because I forgot. I wrote it down. Give me one moment. This is
Southwestern Oklahoma State University, if that isn't a mouthful. And we were tempted to say SWOSU or just call them Oklahoma. We're not sure, but either way, we're glad that they're here to play, and we're excited to play him. This is an NECC broadcast. Now, we did find out, so this is one of our lower bracket teams. How the NECC does it is if you're below a certain tier, then there is no fearless draft. So we had questions about that in the early or before game one. So this is not a fearless game. So all champions are available. So that means that the bans might be similar. We could even see the exact same teams just depending on how they're feeling. Now we do see that Oklahoma did choose to go on the blue side here. So they do have first pick.
Weber decided to go on the red side, seeing as how they're the team that lost.
Oh, yes. Either way, there is a choice. Weber State, so it's the same teams. We see Oklahoma throwing out the Caitlin, the Tom Kench, but switching it up for an Akali ban this game.
Yes, very important to note that, as I do like this adaptation from Weber. The Ziggs was an issue. He never died. And with a name like LeBron Ziggs, or whatever his name is, you gotta get rid of that. You could. Okay. That's a Smolder.
A Smolder locked in here for Oklahoma. Smolder, a very good chance to carry, especially if he can go late. And usually, these games are played somewhere between bronze to gold range, and they will probably go late, and we probably will see the Smolder get stacks. Now, Weber State responding with an Ashe, and then a Nunu and Willem. So they're staying on a theme. It would be fun to see a full Freljord team. However, I don't think Weber State's quite going for that. But Ash been a very solid pick here. This season, she has a lot of options. But the Nunu and Willip also just showing that I think it's a favorite champion here for this Weber State jungler. The Jarvan is response back for Oklahoma. Jarvan showed a lot of opportunity to carry and to be able to knock up and get onto the Weber State backline. And also just responding with the same. If you're going to pick an immobile AD carry, we'll respond with a Jarvan. Janna followed up, and then a Seraphine from Weber State. Now, Weber State, across all of our teams, has a tendency to pick Seraphine mid lane or support, sometimes AD carry. So we'll have to see where the Seraphine does end up going. Very good in the support role, but also a pretty solid mid laner if we need it.
Yeah, Zahen going to go ahead and get banned away here quick from Weber State. They do not want to deal with that. Diana getting banned away. I feel like that's more of a possible pick for mid lane. We could see that happening. I hope that this Seraphine is a support, as the Ashe support is really fun. I'm a little bit worried about the Nunu, as we just saw that it really got outperformed by Jarvan. And I get that it's Monkey's kind of bread and butter. And you just sometimes hope to see some changes, but low elo, they play what they like, and we have fun games. As Vex is going to get banned out here, what will the final ban for the side of Oklahoma be? Let's see, drum roll. Garen. Yeah, wise enough. Garen is a bronze to gold smasher. Pretty smart to get rid of it.
Yeah, Garen has a great chance to carry. The Diana ban too. Diana's had a very good time here in either the mid lane or in a jungle role. Obviously, the jungler's already picked here for Weber State, but a good ban. She has a lot of potential thanks to the Dusk and Dawn buffs. She gets a lot more passive damage out, and Weber State is going to pick a Nefiri here to be able to fight, I guess, in the top lane. Nefiri could go top or mid. I don't know exactly what they're thinking. And Oklahoma just instantly locks in a Malphite and a Dr. Mundo. Oklahoma is going to have an insanely tanky team, especially if the Jarvan continues to go the Bruiser build. They've got a Malphite for the armor and the AD shielding, and then a Mundo that they have to worry about. So they've kind of got a very tough team that they need to chip through.
I want to say that this is a Mundo mid with a Jax with a Malphite top. Nefiri's going to go mid. Jax is going to go top. But yeah, this is going to be really rough. Yes, you do have Jax who can do a lot. Once again, I'll say it as I've said it always. Dusk and Dawn Jax is pretty broken. I think he does okay into Malphite. It just depends where it's going. Are you going to actually do a Malphite mid and completely negate the Neferi, or does Mundo go mid? Which I've seen a little bit. It's weird. It happens, but we'll figure out where all these roles are going once the teams once we're able to get into the game. As we just have to do the weird loading screen.
Yeah, this is going to be a very rough game for the Ashe. Having a Jarvan, once again, flag and drag Cataclysm, so much range, he can be able to gap close immediately onto this Ashe. The Malphite has the instant knockup. Well, it's not really instant, but he has a very oppressive knockup for an immobile AD carry. And then the Dr. Mundo, if he hits this late game, he can just literally walk up to the Ashe and hit her in the face. So it's going to be very tough for Weber to deal with, because really the Ashe has to be able to be the answer for these high HP characters. Now the Jax can build sort of like a hyper carry build, but we'll have to see what they opt to do.
As we go ahead and get loaded in here, you will see that we didn't quite have time to fix the timers in our break. The game started a lot quicker than we thought it would, so we are going to have to deal with not seeing all the fun things. We could have the weird little things above the minimap, but we decided not to ruin your viewing experience with those. So we'll just kind of have to remember when Dragon's starting to come up, and you will see the teams posturing towards them as, oh, here's an interesting thing. We have Liziggs James on the Smolder going into the bot lane instead, with the ADC now on Malphite mid. Looks like it is going to be a full AP Malphite trying to negate the Neferi doing anything, as it we'll just see how things go. I think Taxman into Mundo will be okay. Jax tends to do pretty well, as Rek is going to go ahead and be seen here starting Nunu's blue, as Nunu going to go ahead and instead go ahead and push the snowball. Will accidentally not be able to carry it to the other side of the map, but will be simply blue for blue, as Gamer Hayes really going to struggle early. The Malphite's Q going to be annoying, and the poke not really going to get through the Malphite shield early.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a rough lane. And I think if Oklahoma plays it right, their Malphite should go full armor. If he goes for AP, I think it's just giving Weber State the opportunity to be able to deal with him and to be able to space correctly. I think an armor Malphite is just way too difficult for them to be able to handle. But we'll have to see where the build does go. The Doran's Ring is a great start for the Malphite, though, as he is incredibly mana hungry. You can see his mana bar is already below half here. It's just that Q poke takes so much from him. Now, Weber State looking to try and collapse here on this Jarvan between the mid lane and the bot lane. The Ashe is only level 1. Same with the Seraphine. She does land a couple of hits on this Jarvan. It looked like he was going to try and execute, but the gold will just end up going over. A good rotation here from Weber State. The Neferi got a solid push, and now Weber State can go back to the bot lane. Unfortunately, the Seraphine does secure the kill, so maybe not the gold in the exact right pocket that they want, but still great to be able to not allow the Jarvan to take too much of an advantage here.
Yeah, just an overgreed. You have your bot lane pushing in, which means that Watch Out is just free to walk in, be annoying, gets the assist gold, which is really strong. Gamer Hayes didn't lose a lot as the wave was pushed in, like my co-caster here has said. Now really just going to have to deal with the Malphite poke. You can't dodge a Malphite Q on Neferi until you have your W, I believe. But at the same time, it's such a long cooldown that you want to use it for other things. If you use it for anything but the rock coming at your face, you're going to die.
Yeah, it's just still going to be a lot of poke coming through here either way. So it'll be interesting to see if the Neferi decides to go for some sort of defensive item early, or if they're just going to keep stacking damage and trying to avoid the poke as best as they can. I mean, it's just early. We'll have to see. They do opt for the boots, which will be feeding just a movement speed back into the Malphite, but should be able to allow them to space a little bit better there to maybe avoid just the Q in general, as Malphite picks up a piece of armor and a mana rock here, so he could still go for either build, technically.
I mean, with the armor and the Sapphire Crystal, that immediately screams to me Iceborne Gauntlet.
Yeah, I do believe an Iceborne Gauntlet is the answer. However, with the rush...
Yeah, I actually remind myself, it's probably Frozen Heart. That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, Frozen Heart could be a great option here as well. A lot of mid laners or top laners, though, do like to rush for like an early boots. As we see, ooh, the Mundo going awfully low here to the Taxman in the top lane. This is the weak part of the game for the Mundo. Free 6 and without any items. Mundo is pretty weak until he gets at least 2 items. So the Taxman, if he was able to get that kill, it would have been awesome for him. He is leaving this lane in a brilliant state for him, though, so it is pushing into him. He can be able to have a favorable side of the map, and then he'll be able to bounce it back out as the Void Grubs will spawn. So a good position for him here in this early game. We see a early gank here for this Nunu onto the Malphite. The Malphite doesn't have 6 yet, so he doesn't have the escape option. He does have flash, though. There's just not enough damage here to be able to go down on him, and so he'll just walk away.
Yeah, Nefiri really needs items before she can threaten anything. And at the end of the day, all Nefiri is going to be looking for in the end of these fights is going to be, can I kill Janna or can I kill Smolder? And the answer usually is Monsoon. No, you can't.
Yeah, it'll be a little rough. Gamer Haze getting caught out here from the Jarvan as they just back up in the wrong direction. We do see some of these ultimates coming in here for this mid laner. So the Malphite does hit his level 6. And these ultimates come to rein in and people gather for this dragon fight, we'll have to see how the teams are able to hold up. Now, I believe that Weber State should have an even fight here, but it looks like they're just going to opt to not go for the dragon contest.
A lot of it is that Monkey is simply trying to farm up, get his level 6. You have Gamer Haze who doesn't have his level 6. Malphite does. Gamer Haze nowhere near anything. Taxman getting beaten down here as he's probably just going to simply get, I was going to say, probably going to get pelted down and run down with cleavers, but Mr. Dot Twister going to decide minions greater than Jax.
Yeah, and Jax does still have his flash up, so he's just making sure that he's securing the gold. He's not missing out on any of those points towards his quest finishing, so probably just safer to not chase the Jax down, especially with the minion wave coming in that he could leap strike to. So a good choice. This dragon does end up going over to Oklahoma. We see that the gold is basically even, as there's a 200 gold advantage, 300 gold advantage towards Oklahoma. But it is even basically on all sides here. The mid lane is where that advantage is for the Malphite. Now, Gamer Haze doesn't quite have their level 6 yet. We see another snowball rain down here on the Malphite. He does turn around and ult perfectly into the tower range, so Monkey does go pretty low here. Gamer Haze needs to back out as the Q does hit him. It is an auto hit. It does trace and follow, so the Nefiri going down. Jarvan once again following pattern to last game will gank this bot lane around a similar timer as he does miss the flag and drag with a great flash from the Seraphine. Watch out, able to escort himself out. Ziggs James going pretty low though. The flash forward aggressive from the Ashe. She tries to secure the kill. She's just chasing it down. It's the last thing that she wants. However, not able to secure it. An unfortunate series of plays. Weber State tries to re-aggress, but they just end up giving gold back over.
Yeah, and what's happening here is that Weber is very much making these aggressive plays that we've seen them play, and very much like last game, they just don't go the way Weber wants. Again, watch out not having the vision, being able to get in the bush, Ziggs James having the flash, the barrier to continue. Very just aggressive from watch out to flash into 3 people there. At best, you're getting a 1-for-1. At worst, you're doing exactly what happened.
Yeah, and I think the initial flash, if he was able to land it on the Ziggs, unfortunately the Ziggs did have a flashback. The Mundo securing a kill on the Jax. Jax being a little bit greedy, staying around maybe a little bit too long for that wave. However, like we were talking about, the Smolder did have a flash to escape. If he didn't have the flash, the Ashe gets the kill and was still spaced far enough away to be able to walk out. But she just continued to chase forward, and it led to that unfortunate death. It does look like, though, they should be able to hit this tower plating and get a little bit of plate gold. Just kidding. Not enough.
Yeah, that crystalline moss not stacking up big enough yet, as Gamer Haze and Monkey, again, trying to just find things to do. Monkey really wanting to get these grubs down, but Malphite just starting to rain down. As you can see, it is looking to be at least a Malignant's first item Malphite, and then I'm assuming full tank.
Yeah, Malignance first is very strong on the Malphite so that he just is available at more objectives with that ult. Weber State is caught out here though a little bit. Their health bar is just not healthing enough as the Cataclysm does come in here onto Gamer Haze, and Taxman will be chased down here. He does have the Counter-Strike, but unfortunately Mundo goes where he pleases and they chase him down. That is a 3-for-0 here on the top side of the map. Now Weber State was able to secure one grub. They probably looking, I mean, this is a hindsight thing, but I think during the play as well, they should have just seen that the advantage was in Oklahoma's favor, taking the one grub and gotten out. But they chose to stick around, and now the gold advantage has swung for Oklahoma State. They are 3,000 gold up, and importantly, that 3,000 gold is on some of these tanks that can definitely afford to use the gold and to really just push into this mid game even stronger.
Yeah, 4-0 Malphite is terrifying. He has really good farm, gonna just absolutely be a menace, meaning I'm also thinking at this point that he might just go armor boots and then dedicate to full AP, because at this point it doesn't matter. You don't need to survive if they're dead.
True, you don't need to survive if they're dead. However, I do feel like the AP Malphite is a bait, as Gamer Haze does ult in onto the Malphite. However, not able to get any more damage. I believe they missed their Q, so not able to secure that kill, but able to push the wave in. I still think the AP Malphite is just kind of a bait. I think the armor Malphite just guarantee wins the game. The AP would be fun and there'll be some explosive plays, but I think if they go for the AP, it's kind of troll, but maybe they'll get baited into it by their success in this early game, and it could be a throw. As the Malphite, once again, it does kill the Nefiri, not even needing to ult, just Qs and runs at her, and she dies.
It will be interesting to see what boots he decides, because I think that will really decide a lot of things. As Taxman getting dangerously low here, as Mr. Twister gonna go ahead and do a lot. Watch out here, once again in a bad position, gonna get slowed by the sneeze breath. Jarvan will not be able to find what he wants in the knockup, but this dragon once again is just going to go over to Oklahoma. We were not in a position to do anything. Just the team, I really feel at this point is such a team diff. The composition diff. That's the diff. That's the word I was looking for.
As I say, a team diff might be a little harsh yet. We still would hope the team can come back, but we do see a double ult here from the Cataclysm and the Malphite jumping onto the Nunu, so that should be a second dragon here for Oklahoma. Taxman trying to fight this Mundo, but Jax has a pretty weak early game, so it's hard for him to even fight into a Mundo, who's also weak early game, but he is up farm and a kill, so he does have that Warmogs completed, and thanks to Mundo scaling off of health, it's a big advantage for him. Weber State is able to secure a kill here on the Smolder in the bot lane. It looks like the Encore and the Ash Arrow were used to be able to lock him down, so that's a good pick for them to try and help this Ash stay in the game, as they definitely will need her damage here. Gamer Haze just being chased down by this Malphite, opting to use the flash, just stalling for time. Looks like Mundo's coming over to see if he can get the kill donated to him, and it will indeed, unless Gamer Haze has anything else to say about it. He's being a little squirrely, but he does go down here in the end, offering Taxman a little bit of time to farm here solo in the top lane.
I mean, if there's something you want, it's a Jax to get ahead, but I just kind of look at this and go, you need Jax to get really far ahead to come out swinging in this matchup, as Weber is just down in gold everywhere except the support once again, where he is 600 gold ahead. But we saw again, Seraphine carry anyone?
Seraphine carry indeed. I'm bored maintaining. I don't know how they come up on these gold days. I guess it's probably because they've been securing kills. They got the first blood, and the second kill did go over to them as well. So yeah, Seraphine carry. We'll have to see what a Seraphine carry does against a Mundo and a Malphite.
First tower already going down in the top side, as Taxman deciding, hey, maybe I can fight this. I have ult, but so does Mundo. Taxman fighting in this wave, doing the best he can. The Ignite does go down, but the Ghost's going to be enough with the Cleaver to dissuade Taxman from continuing. That actually was a pretty decent fight coming out, all things said there. It just needs a little bit more damage, and Taxman can really do something, as Janna, in a little bit of a pickle here, will not get knocked up as a Proto Belt forward to try to get the root. Unfortunately, Taxman now in the top lane running a little bit too far forward. Malphite in the bot lane gonna go ahead and come in, and he already has his Malignant, so he's gonna go ahead and get the shutdown onto I'm bored. GamerHey is going to try and do what he can to finish off this Janna. Will not have enough. Will have enough with the Ignite. Going to go ahead and get a reset on his ultimate and get another kill. No, it is not quite enough, as Monkey has to go into tower and will take another fatal tower shot, as it is just back and forth, back and forth. They really want this Malphite, as it's so much. But he has AP. That Q is going to finish him off. He has 10 stacks of a Dark Seal. He is... I guess Malphite goes where he pleases too.
Malphite going where he pleases, indeed. Weber State just over chasing there a little bit, but I do like the effort. Like, they know that they need to get back into this game, so I think trying for the kills is fine. At the end of the day, they push the wave in. The enemy team misses a lot of CS. They get a few plates, so very good overall for this Ashe to try and catch back up here. But still just down. We're down 7,000 gold here at 15 minutes. Now, last time I checked, 7,000 gold at 15 minutes is pretty rough. But we'll have to see what they can do to rally around these objectives, because I think at the end of the day, what really matters is, can they secure these dragons? How can they push these towers? And where can they group up as a team?
The hardest thing, I think, is for, sorry for saying that twice, is GamerHaze right now is in such a rough position. He is 1-6, has one item, but just does no damage. Monkey doing some decent damage as he's full AP, but the moment Nunu's damage runs out, Malphite just simply says, oh look, you're dead now. And I think I was right to say he understands that if you don't kill him, he will simply kill you, as he has a Aether Wisp and a... I can't remember the other item, but that is definitely going to be a Lichbane Malphite.
Yeah, Hextech Alternator for the other item. He will be doing a lot of damage for sure, but it does mean that he will be able to be blown up pretty easily here. So we'll have to see if they can play around it. We'll have to see if the Malphite can land his ults and if he can pick the right times, because if he does get kited or he gets blown up before he can use his ult, then it will be a little bit more difficult for this Oklahoma State team.
And I was wrong. I'm used to the old build path of Lichbane, where it was Aether Wisp and a Hextech Alternator. That is actually a Storm Surge. So I just simply think that if Malphite ever has ult, you're dead.
Yeah, especially where they're behind and there's not a lot of opportunity to buy some magic resist for this Weber State team. We see this Jax getting dove here by the Jarvan and the Mundo, beginning to think that a Jarvan ban might have been a good option here, as the Malphite does blow this Nefiri up on cooldown. So that may be a repeating pattern here. Almost a 10,000 gold lead here for Oklahoma State at 17 minutes, and they're looking to expand it as they drop a Rift Herald here in this middle lane.
You know, at the end of the day, Weber State hasn't lost a bot lane turret. We're growing great in the bot lane.
Yeah, the bot lane doing fine. The main issue is whether or not the bot lane... Oh, a nice Enchanted Crystal Arrow to make sure that the Nunu ult gets a full charge. But at the end of the day, Nunu just doesn't have as much damage to do against this Malphite, who is 3 levels higher than them. Unfortunately, not enough. I do like the combo try, though. It was good enough to clear the wave and at least push them off.
What's scary is this Malphite is the same level as his top laner. His top laner has completed his quest. He should be the highest level in the game. That is terrifying. Yes, Mundo is going to get stronger and stronger and eventually get more levels, but Malphite is just simply saying, I don't need levels, I need more kills.
More kills indeed. We see some scrapping going down here in this bottom lane is the Ashe Seraphine trying to fight into the Janna Smolder. However, the shields do fight off damage from being traded back. GamerHaze being chased down here. The Malphite ult does whiff though, so this may be the opportunity. However, I don't think it's going to be a very good opportunity, as this is a 2-item Mundo. The Nefiri is down here in the bot lane. However, Weber State not able to collapse as the Malphite does chase down the bot lane. The Mundo solos the Nunu, and this tower will probably be Dovin. Ash, run away, please. Don't stay. There's 5 of them. The Jarvan jumps in. He has a Cataclysm. He doesn't even need to use it. He's going to hold the flag and drag to chase down the Seraphine, or at least ward her off, as Oklahoma State is going to rally and be able to take these last platings on this bottom lane turret.
And I mean, I think, the Malphite heard you. He simply said, okay, 2 AP items good enough. Now I'll go for a Thornmail. Now you'll never kill me.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, as long as he lands his ult on a squishy target, which the Nunu going full AP, the Ashe never really going to build any defensive items besides maybe a Guardian Angel, so he always has a target. It's just whether or not he can land on the target. But if he does ult with a Malignance and a Storm Surge, he should almost always pop that Storm Surge off on the Ashe. We see the Seraphine being Dovin, that saved Cataclysm, followed by the Malphite ulting, will secure it. That will be a tier 2 turret here for Oklahoma, as actually they're running away from this Nunu. The snowball does miss. There's a Nefiri here. I don't know if this is a fight that Weber State does want to take, though. They just want to chase them off.
Mr. Dot Twister in the top lane going to simply keep getting stronger and stronger as he has his 2 items. He is full build Mundo already. I don't know why he's taking farm anymore. Maybe I guess he wants that Titanic Hydra. I don't see a reason behind it. You're full build. Just end the game right there, Mundo. Just walk in, take the Nexus. You're full build.
Yeah, definitely on the item spike. This is the Allows machine gun build Mundo that we will be seeing. He should do a lot of damage here as he procs the Heart Steals, and when he does get that Titanic, he can reset his auto, just chasing down this Nefiri. You see how much damage that Heart Steal proc does, and he does have the auto attack resets. Gamer Haze, definitely in a haze, looking like a gray screen.
I mean, it's not nearly as gray as it used to be. I think we need to sign a petition to bring back the full monochrome death screen. No colors, no nothing. You need to know, hey, you're dead. There's no happiness anymore.
Watch out, though, here. Does have an Enchanted Crystal Arrow, followed by the Encore onto this bot lane. Laziggs James going down to the Nunu, and then the Janna down to the Seraphine. No kills going to Ashe still. Taxman is caught out here in the open in a 1v1 with Mr. Dot Twister. We see how well that's going. However, he does get pretty low. He almost takes the Mundo down. It was so close. The Mundo holding on to the ult, thinking he could do it, which he almost did. But the Jax showing that he can still scale. Maybe he can get back in this game.
Yeah, a lot of that coming down to the fact that once Jax pops his ultimate, it's every 2 auto attacks that procs the extra damage. But with Dusk and Dawn, it's every single auto, and so you get really big double passives from the extra damage on the ultimate. If Taxman had a second item, he definitely would have won that, as Malphite just simply saying, ooh, look, minion.
Yeah, the Seraphine stepping too close. I would think by now, players need to adjust, and they should recognize the range on the Malphite ult. We see Monkey in running in to try and do some damage, but just not having enough. He's just barely tickling that Malphite here in the mid lane. The Ashe now stepping forward, knowing that there is no Malphite unstoppable force to take her down. However, the Jarvan is rallying. He does have a flag and drag and a Cataclysm, and that will be, watch out, stuck here in the pit with him as Malphite does Q, and apparently the Q is just enough to toggle the Storm Surge. Gamer Haze hoping to get some more here as she dives in. However, all of the armor here on the Malphite just preventing anything from coming through, as a TP also supports here from Mr. Dot Twister, pushing on this inhib at 22 minutes. Meanwhile, a Smolder is just continuing to farm plates off of this bottom lane and push forward on an advantage. He is getting quite a few stacks of Dragon practice here. Do we have any way to see that?
Not with our current layout, unfortunately. Once we have our better layout, it will obviously display that. But you can actually tell by the way his horns look. Right now, it is not an execute, but it is the 3rd stage.
So getting closer and closer. If he gets to 225, he will definitely be doing a lot of damage, and I think that will definitely be a GG from the Weber State team. It's a 13,000 gold lead for Oklahoma here. They've been controlling the map, they've been getting kills, and they've just been showing that they know how to play a game of League of Legends very well.
I mean, also, if you thought that these fights were close, they're no longer close as they now have an Ocean Soul, so Mundo never needs to go home. He will always be going where he pleases, throwing chairs, throwing trophies, throwing a rock at you, as there goes Malphite.
Malphite just even annihilating the Jax here with the support from the Mundo. Watch out, needing to watch out as he gets annihilated as well. The Nunu does get a good snowball, but it just doesn't matter. Gamer Haze also ulting in to try and support, but they just don't have enough damage. The Mundo ults. He does have his machine gun build complete, so he can reset with that Titanic Hydra. It looks like Oklahoma, I mean, they should just be able to win here. I think even if Weber State respawns, they don't have enough resources to be able to deal with this. They're in an 18 or 16,000 gold deficit here as the Cleaver hits the Nefiri. This is just going to be a rough game here as all of the inhibitors are under siege. The Nexus turrets are under siege. And here comes Taxman looking to try and deal with the Mundo, but alone. And alone will not be good enough.
Well, I mean, Mundo simply pops an ult, has the increased healing from the Ocean Soul, and now his Warmogs is going to proc in. And folks, we love Weber State here, but in a decimating fashion has Oklahoma State shown up and taken this series 2-0. We do hope you enjoyed these games this evening. We are always grateful when you show up, and for those of you who crave more League of Legends, we will be back for our CLOL games with our varsity team at 4 o'clock on Saturday.
Yes, thank you for watching. We hope that you have a wonderful rest of the week. We hope that we also see you on a Saturday for that CLOL game. And if not, next Thursday night we'll have a broadcast with one of our JV games. Thank you for joining us and have a wonderful evening.